the National Legends Cars Championship in association with Parc Lane Cars. Welcome to Brands Hatch, the penultimate day's racing of the 2022 National Legends Cars season. Things are very close in the championship as we arrive here on a very wet Indy circuit. Miles Rudman, the championship leader, Will Gibson in second. John Mickle is out of the meeting through injury, unfortunately. Marcus Pett fourth from Steve Whiteleg and Jack Parker. Lots going on in the paddock. Let's talk to James Newbury.
James, fantastic to catch up with you. Penultimate event coming up. Now, we last spoke, I think it was Pembrey, and you were sort of learning your racecraft and so forth. How's your year gone?
Very well indeed. I've achieved all the objectives I set this year. I have one last objective to meet, which I'm not entirely sure I'm going to, but that was to finish the season ahead of Bill Reid, which I think I'm not going to do. I'm 110 points behind him. I'd need two 14th place finishes this weekend to secure that. Whilst at Pembrey I managed to get to 14th place, I haven't yet managed to hold that position in a race. So I did have a great weekend at Pembrey when we last spoke and did have some brilliant racing. And for the first time ever, I looked in my mirrors and when the red flag came out and thought, oh no, my advantage is being demolished by the safety car and the red flag. So that was a first for me. But yes, it's gone very well.
I often ask this question to drivers. How different are you as a driver now to you were back then?
I think I'm more comfortable. At the beginning of the season, I used to panic. I used to get very, very, very nervous every time I was getting in the car. I don't do that at all anymore. I can get in the car and focus and concentrate on the race, work out who's where on the grid, and pick my plan for the start of the race.
Now, another reason I wanted to catch up with you, you're doing something pretty special this weekend as well. Apart from the racing, there's a charity which is very close to your heart, and you're doing something quite special with your car between races. Just tell us a bit more about it.
Okay, so between races we're intending on performing some magic. You'd need to be a complete Cars films buff to understand what we're doing. But in some of the films, Mater does transform to himself when he was new. He also, in some of the films, he puts a bonnet on and then catches a cold and doesn't like having the bonnet on and sneezes it off. So if you know your Disney trivia, if you know your Cars trivia, you will fully understand what's going on this weekend and the madness that we're going to try and perform throughout the weekend.
Now, there is a serious purpose behind this, and it's for a very good cause. Just tell us a bit more about it.
Absolutely. So very sadly, my father died from motor neurone disease Christmas 2020. But as a result of COVID, none of our family could get to see him. So we actually had the whole year of him being in a nursing home and in and out of hospital, and we weren't allowed to go anywhere near Dad at all. So that made it much, much harder. But there's been a lot of publicity over the last few years. Rob Burrows, the rugby player, us in this. And we hope that just by raising awareness for Motor Neurone Disease Association, we can get some support, we can get some people giving to the Just Giving page, which is Team 2 Mater, and hopefully raise a lot of money. Our target is £1 for every mile we've raced this year. If we could exceed that, that would be fabulous. So far, last night we were at 56% of the target. I'm really rather hoping over the course of the weekend we can put a 0 on the end of the target, which would just be superb. MSV, Brands Hatch have been superb. They're supporting us all weekend. They're allowing us to collect as charity of the weekend. Hopefully it'll be fabulous. Hopefully we can raise a lot of awareness and indeed a lot of money for MNDA to do research into why this happens and stopping it.
Now, Luke, it's been a long season. We haven't had a chance to catch up with you. So your first season doing this, how's it been?
Yeah, we got off to a bit of a rocky start. We had a few engine troubles and whatnot, but yeah, we're getting there towards the end of the season. Obviously had a big crash at Dynton, which sort of hindered the car in a way. We've struggled all of Snetterton, and we've come here today, and we think we've got it back to how it was at the start of the year. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes.
Pretty fast learning curve this season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big difference to what I've done before. Did oval racing before, and yeah, it's a big change.
Doing left-handers for a start.
Yeah, I know, I've got to do right and left.
And you've joined a big grid. I mean, the thing about Legends that I love is the format, this reverse grid and so forth. It mixes the whole thing up, and that's part of the fun for us. What's it like as a driver?
Yeah, it's great really, because you always get a chance to race a lot of different people. You're not just faster ones at the front and whatnot. So yeah, it also gives you, if you had a not so good weekend, your final is always very interesting. And if you haven't had a good one, you get to go off the front and maybe hopefully lead a couple of laps.
Considering it's your first season, I mean, you're doing pretty well. I mean, I haven't done my maths properly, but you're at about 16th, aren't you, in the championship? Something like that, certainly in the top 20.
Yeah, I think we're round about there. I think we're third in the rookie championship. So yeah, we're still in a chance of winning it this weekend. So it's a tough going, but we'll see how it goes.
Very good point, actually. I mean, I was looking at the overall championship, which is a hell of a thing in the first thing. Rookie championship, so, I mean, we've got some pretty keen drivers, Higgins and so forth, who you've got to keep your eye on. But, I mean, you're making a pretty good mark out there.
Yeah, we just take every race as it comes, and it's a bonus if we beat them. It is what it is if we haven't.
Jonty Norman drew pole position. Ricky Leggett alongside, then Steve Whiteleg on row 2 with Lenny Woodcock. We're on board with Ollie Schlupp on row 4. Ollie in the mix for the rookie championship, which I think is going to go to the wire, to be perfectly honest. So I don't think will be settled today, barring any big misfortunes for either of the front runners, as Steve Whiteleg will look to make the start. Whiteleg already passed Lenny Woodcock in the light blue car. Jonty Norman dropping back as well. Those two gaining experience of starting off the front. Here comes Will Gibson. There's Miles Rudman, the championship leader, the defending champion, in black on the outside, and Gibson needs to make points up on Rudman in every single race. He is 380 points adrift of Rudman in the championship, so Miles realistically only needs to keep the black and blue car within his sights in all the races this weekend. 380 points, just under 2 race wins worth of points that Miles Rudman has in hand at the moment, but one non-finish would put things in jeopardy. On board with Gibson, looks to the inside of Robin Fountain in the 31 car as Steve Whiteleg goes on the grass, as does Kieran Beattie. Kieran sliding it one way then the other. There is Kieran, back of shot from Whiteleg's car. Whiteleg took more of the grass than Kieran did, but I don't think he got any more of an advantage. Kieran looks up the inside, slots back onto the wet line here, and still in first place. Ollie Schlupp is up into third. Ollie will be hoping to reduce the lead that Ben Higgins has, a 55-point lead for Ben Higgins in the rookie championship for first-year drivers. So much to focus on this weekend. Andy Bird goes through on the inside, passing 2 cars actually on his way to and through Paddock Hill Bend, but it's Steve Whiteleg, the race leader. Still great big gaggles of cars sorting themselves out. Ben Higgins sliding, just got out of shot, sliding his way into Druids. For many of these drivers, particularly the rookies, well, especially the rookies, it's probably the first time they've driven Legends in conditions like this, I would imagine. I can't think of comparable conditions this year. So this is new territory for a lot of the drivers. Andy Bird, neat pass there on blue and yellow Savannah. Lenny Woodcock's got problems. He is off after his second row start, but it's Steve Whiteleg still leading. Kieran Beattie second, the black and blue car of Will Gibson, second place in the championship, is third. Miles Rudman, a little tap on the back end of Robin Fountain. Robin, the driver who won the championship the year before John Mickle. Before John had his first championship title, and we're going to send a get well soon message to John Mickle. He's got a broken bone in his right foot, and he did practice, but he was pulled from the meeting by the officials and medics and said that he can't race. So John speedy recovery, mate. Look forward to seeing you back on the grid very, very soon indeed. And he was in with the shout at the championship, so a big loss, a big story coming into this weekend. Here's the battle for second. Gibson on the inside. He's going to have to get a lot of speed to get ahead of Kieran Beattie. He does, gets through the gears very quickly, heading down into Graham Hill Bend, keeping it wide. He's already got the position made on Kieran Beattie to go into second place. Gibson, oh, we've got flashing yellows. I think that is there for, as we watch Florian Robin going around the outside of John T. Norman, that yellow is going to be for Lenny Woodcock. So out of McLaren, into clearways we go. 3 races today, another 3 races in our final programme, which you'll see next time. And it's Steve Whiteleg, the leader, from Will Gibson. I was going to say how Will Gibson is quick in all weathers. He's quick in the dry, and if you think it's a performance issue with the car, then think again, because it's teeming down with rain. And Gibson goes through on the inside of one of the most experienced Legends Cars racers. We've got Steve Whiteleg, and Gibson's got the lead. Very successful second half of the season for Gibson. 5th place at the moment is Miles Rudman. Now that will afford Miles, I think, 150 points, so he'll lose, if things stay the way they are, lose 50 points to Gibson in this one out of 380. And he could probably afford to do that in pretty much every race, but he's still got ground to make up. We do have some guest drivers in the mix this weekend as well, running slightly different specifications, so may, given conditions, work their way through, but they won't score points, the guest drivers. And I'm thinking specifically of Ryan McLeish, Scott, Glenn Burtonshaw and John Critchlow, as we watch Mike Schlupp go through the shot. There is Ricky Leggett, great to see Ricky back in. Mark Beattie in the Park Lane Cars 85 machine, again grateful thanks to Park Lane Cars for their support this year for our television series. As the race leaders head across the line again, Kieran Beattie being challenged by Jack Parker. Parker looks to the inside. Clean move by Parker, the man who led the championship after round 1 at Alton Park. There is Bill Reid, who James Newbury was talking about, so Bill's got a bit of catching up to do. James Newbury is ahead of Bill Reid at the moment here at Brands Hatch. Will that stay the same though? Welcome back. Ollie Schlupp now challenging. That's Bill Reid in the 333 car, who moves well over out of the way. And Ollie Schlupp is on the... Is he going to be on the grass? He was certainly on the runoff area. Manages to rejoin. Couple of wheels to the inside. But look at Miles Rudman scything through on the in-between Ollie Schlupp and Bill Reid, but carries too much momentum and ends up in the gravel at Clearways. Rejoins on the outside of Bill Reid. There was me saying what a great move it was by Miles Rudman, but he, I think, had a little bit too much momentum. Had to go through. That was damage limitation for his moment earlier on. He finds himself now dicing with Marcus Pett, so Marcus busy challenging him. Miles trying to close down on the red and white car of Rob Fountain. Massive sideways moment there for Ricky Leggett, who again steers back onto the track, scrubs off a bit of speed. Luke Takushis, I think, is down behind them as well. Yes, it is. Luke, another one of the rookies. Is Ollie Schlupp, though, engaged in battle with Jack Parker. Jack, I think, closing in on Daniel Pooley, one of this year's newcomers. Daniel will be, I think, seeing the blue flags and blue LEDs at some point. Jack Parker's passed Daniel already, and Daniel keeping to the inside. The rookie drivers who are being passed, I've got to say, have been so respectful. Oh, Daniel grabs a bit of curb, gets it sideways, doesn't really interfere with anybody, still keeps it to the outside line. Daniel, world champion in his previous discipline of the Grand Prix Midgets, a formula where he designed, built, engineered and raced his own car, so puts his reputation on the line here, coming and racing in a one-make championship for sure. And this is a learning season for the man in black and green, as the man in black goes to his inside. Miles Rudman goes through, having dealt with Rob Fountain. Marcus Pett chasing him as well, and here is James Newbury. Now, we saw Bill Reid, so James is a little bit further up the road than Bill, and that's his aim. Look how clear the blue LEDs are for the drive. James didn't need that. He was very well aware that the lead drivers were on their way through, and 2 metre gives them room. As I say, we've seen some really good driving here from those that are being caught. So I could probably, it might be the curse of the commentator to say how well they're doing, but extremely well behaved. Now, there is Paul Simmons in 51. And look at the other we've seen the black and green of Daniel Pooley. That black and green car is Luke Simmons, who is third in the Rookie Championship, starting behind Ben Higgins and Ollie Schlupp in this race. So he will have a better grid position than those two in his next race, race 2, the reverse grid race. And will try and keep himself in the hunt for the Rookie Championship honours as Jack Parker goes high and wide across the line. Here comes Miles Rudman. Kieran Beattie, the man who is challenging, goes through on the inside. Lovely clean move from the double champion, perhaps soon to be triple champion, Miles Rudman. Down Hailwood Sill, Jack Parker gets a wheel on the concrete there on the runoff area, collects it all up, but he's lost momentum, didn't lose a place. Ollie Schlupp now with Miles Rudman right behind him. Jack Parker, not the best of entries there, exits out of Druids, and Ollie Schlupp makes the pass. Great stuff from Ollie. I think this is probably Ollie Schlupp's first time racing in these conditions, certainly at Brands. Long Cooper straight they go. 3 wide here. Look at Rudman. Look at this. Clean stuff from Miles Rudman. Finds the speed from somewhere. Had the momentum coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Got errant car just out of shot there. But Rudman through and up into 3rd place. Jack Parker will get 4th again, ahead of Ollie Schlupp, who is in 5th place. Ollie here on for 150 points. Ben Higgins is around about another 6 or 7 places down. We could well see a change in the Rookie Championship lead in this race. We can't really start to get a handle on it until we've had the reverse grid race as well. Schlupp looking on the inside of Jack Parker. Kieran Beattie has come up to play again as well, and Robin Fountain running well too. Jack Parker knows that the outside run is quick there. Again, heads out towards the red and white curbs, and he'll be aware of the danger of those, having had that big moment of opposite lock earlier on. So conditions absolutely filthy. I'm not sure whether I'd like to have the cover, a limited cover that a driver has, or be a spectator here. Nice and warm in the comms box for sure, but conditions as ever giving us terrific racing. Blue flags being shown for some of the drivers. I tell you what, Steve Whiteling hasn't been left as Miles Rudman goes wide again. Now were they all following Miles there? I wonder if they were. They may well be focusing on Miles being the championship leader. Rob Fountain goes through and passes Jonty Norman. Marcus Pett will go through as well. Jonty running in 27th place. And again, giving everybody room to go through. Florian Robin passed by the race leader. So Will Gibson is out front and on his way to, I think, 31st career win. Oh, and off goes Luke Simmons. Luke Simmons has a little moment, well, not off, but as a moment. Nathan Anthony in the Savannah going through as Miles Rudman continues to chase. There is Florian Robin. So Florian again goes to the outside, sees Miles coming. Miles nips through on the inside. He can see the first and second ahead. So at the moment, Miles Rudman will be losing 30 points out of his 380 point lead. He goes Jonty Norman off on the grass, will hopefully come back. It is really treacherous out there today. Jonty gets back on circuit just behind Glenn Burtonshaw in the ex-Gerard McCosh car, but running towards the checkered flag now will be Will Gibson for win number 31. He'll equal Chris Greaves' career total here. Checkered flag is out and it's a win. Gibson, Steve Whiteling, Miles Rudman 3rd. Jack Parker takes 4th place. A little bit further back, there's Ryan McLeish, the Scot, the invitation runner. He's the top guest driver at the moment. He's in 9th place as the checker goes out. Jack Parker was 4th, Ollie Schlupp 5th, Kieran Beattie and Rob Fountain. And conditions I don't think getting any better, but Will Gibson doing everything that he could possibly do, which is take the race win and beating Miles Rudman as we head into race 2. Gibson from Whiteleg and Rudman, Jack Parker in 4th from Ollie Schlupp and Kieran Beattie, Rob Fountain 7th, Marcus Pett 8th. Miles Rudman getting the fastest lap on the last lap of the race, believe it or not. I thought it was getting worse. Ryan McLeish next from Nick Bridgman, Ben Higgins and Glenn Burtonshaw, John Critchlow, Luke Simmons, Nathan Anthony and Paul Simmons 16th from Andy Bird and Chris Needham. Mike Schlupp next up from Matthew Knight, Chris Dewey and Charlie Budd. Mark Beattie 23rd from Ricky Legat. Then Luke Takushis, Florian Robin, Jonty Norman, James Newbury, Bill Reid, Alistair Calderwood and Daniel Pooley.
Well, what a fantastic way to start the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that's it couldn't get much better, really. That was the plan, was to go out, put a good lap down in practice, and then, yeah, just try and win the first race. So far, so good.
You and Steve broke away for the pack. I mean, there was a lot happening around about sort of 4th place onwards, but you managed to maintain that gap. I thought Steve might catch you at one point.
Yeah, I started making a couple of mistakes as the race went on, but I could see Steve in the mirrors, and it's so hard to overtake in the wet. I was just hoping he would just follow me home for P2, which he did. He didn't put any strange moves on, which was good.
Miles was getting sniffingly close, made a mistake on that sort of final corner, sort of about 3 or 4 laps to go, which was to your advantage really, because championship points wise you and him are pretty close.
Yeah, it's really close. I mean, we still need a bit of luck. We still need him to have a DNF if we're going to win the championship, but you know, all we can do is go out and win races, and so far it's working.
5th place in the championship, Steve Whiteleg. It's been a very tight season for us, and a good result on first race.
Yeah, it's the result I was looking for, really. I would have preferred to win, but in these conditions it was extremely difficult, and to finish was a result, and to finish second even better.
It was a bit treacherous out there. What was it like?
You couldn't turn in, you couldn't brake. You just had to drive as though it's like driving on ice, to be honest, but enjoyable at certain points, but frightening at other points when you couldn't stop the car or you couldn't turn it in. But it's the same for everybody, and luckily I was up near the front and managed to keep it on the black stuff.
Time for a bit of magic now in the James Newbury garage. Two-Mater transforms into his younger self. JustGiving.com fundraising team Two-Mater is the place to go to show your support.
So Kieran, race 1 done and dusted, 6th place. That's a pretty good result as we start the weekend.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I wasn't expecting to be anywhere near on the pace, to be fair, this weekend. I missed the last session in, I think it was June. I was on holiday for Brands, and it's the first wet race we've had this year. So we've been very, very lucky with the weather. But no, I started 3rd off the grid, so managed to stick behind Steve Whiteleg, sort of followed his lines for a little bit, and then just kept it in there, kept it out of the gravel, more importantly.
You sort of became the target there, because if you had Jack Park around you, and even Miles was moving up before he had his little incident there. Very busy, but you were holding your own pretty well. Yeah. Well, as I say, I had some fairly experienced drivers around me. I think me and Ollie were sort of the only people that sort of lacked the experience, but we had them around to sort of copy and see their lines, and yeah, it worked out really, really well. Brother Mark had a little bit of an incident there at Druid, so he obviously dropped back a bit, but we're still getting good team coverage throughout the grid, and another 5 races to go yet though. Yeah, brilliant. That's just Steve pulling faces, isn't we there? But yeah, I mean, excited for the rest of the weekend. If it's going to carry on the way it has in that first race, then I think it's going to be a good one. Ben, we caught up earlier in the season. Now, it's been a mixed bag of a season for you, but we come into this event leading the Rookie Championship, still everything to play for, and race 1 was out of the way. That was your first wet race this season.
Yeah, it's looking exciting, to be honest. Wet weather, we haven't had it all season, so we've dodged it quite well. But no, it's exciting for us, something new and different, new experiences, but the Rookie Championship's looking tight, and I think it should be a good battle at this last round.
It looks pretty horrendous out there. What's it like as a driver?
It's slippy and slow, to be honest. It's really good fun, but I don't know, we've been struggling quite a lot in this weather condition so far, but hopefully it can get better. So
I was talking to your dad, Mark Higgins, earlier in the day, and he said the last sort of couple of rounds or so, you've had misfire problems and so forth. Have you sorted them?
Yeah, well, we think we've sorted them. We're trying to work out at the moment, because it's wet, it's quite hard to gauge what the car's doing, but yeah, we've had loads of trouble with the car in terms of misfires and electrical issues, but I think we're getting there now, which is a shame because it's the end of the season nearly, but you know. Yeah.
Luke Simmons was off the back in race number 1, so he starts on pole position with Luke Takushis alongside Andy Bird and Mark Beattie Road 2, but Miles Rudman, the championship leader, has a problem and he's not going to take the start by the look of it. We're going to have an extra warm-up lap here at Brands Hatch, but Major, as if losing John Mickle from the meeting wasn't enough, we've now got an issue with Miles Rudman, who is pushed away, and that is not towards the pits, that is out of the race. Miles Rudman will be a non-starter, and that is going to throw the championship wide open. We'll have more for you, including the start after the break. to the line. It is Luke Simmons and Luke Takushis with Andy Bird in third place. Mark Beattie on the outside of the second row. Away we go. Florian Robin on row 3 with Chris Needham. It's a great start. Visibility is going to be tricky out there, as is proved by this shot from Will Gibson coming into Paddock Hill Bend. Daniel Pooley to the outside. Marcus Pett immediately in front. Florian Robin goes wide, passed by a couple of cars, but it's Andy Bird coming through on the inside, left of shot in the black number 30, white on the side of the 30 car, into the lead. Good move by Andy. There is Chris Needham being challenged by Mike Schlupp. Marcus Pett behind him. Then Will Gibson. Does Will Gibson know that Miles Rudman's not in this race? Oh, and a spin there we saw from Ben Higgins on board. It was Robin Fountain. Robin's got going again, but we've got Nathan Anthony stranded, I think, in the Savannah. Yes, we have. There we go. Green lights at the moment. Green lights changed to safety car. So yellows will be shown all the way around the track. At what point, if you are an official, do you judge whether people have passed under yellow flags or not? Let's just watch them go through. Steve Whiteleg going through on the inside of Florian Robin. He's going to have a go here at Ben Higgins as well, but there are yellows. Yeah, Steve backs out of that. That was a good call from Steve Whiteleg. And as I say, if you're an official with this amount of cars all side by side, how on earth do you work out who's passed under a yellow? Well, there's a driver who won't care in this instance, only about the fact that he's now got a 200-point hole appeared in what was a 350-point lead in the championship. Nathan's van is pushed away towards safety. They'll tuck it up behind the Armco there on the exit of Druid, so that will be safe. So no damage will ensue to that car, or indeed any other cars potentially, because it will be out of the way. And it's Andy Bird that will lead on the restart, the reigning rookie champion, looking for his first Legends Cars win. Luke Simmons next up, then Mark Beattie. Luke Takushis is in fourth place as we go racing again. It is Nick Bridgman fifth, who goes right on the offensive and passes Takushis on the outside. Bridgman, of course, the more experienced of the two drivers, as Simmons challenges Andy Bird. Look at you can see almost the complete reflection of the cars in the water as they go up the hill, and boy oh boy is Luke Simmons piling the pressure on here. He's got lots of expertise in learning car control on the short ovals, where you're going flat out down a short straight and then throwing a car into the corner. I'm sure he's had plenty of wet meetings on the short ovals, but a much different discipline to be sure. Luke Takushis passed by teammate Ollie Schlupp. So here is Andy Bird out front. Bird understeering into the corner, but making a much better job of getting through there than many of his competitors in race number 1 for sure. And it's Bird withstanding the pressure at the moment in the lead. There is Paul Simmons from Kieran Beattie. Takushis, Parker on the outside in blue and gold. Then it's Mike Schlupp, followed by Steve Whiteleg. Steve, I think, getting the better of Marcus Pett for fourth in the championship on points after race number 1. And in the background, we've got Steve Whiteleg amongst other cars off and in the gravel. Just as I say, Whiteleg had got the upper hand on Marcus Pett. That could change again in this one. Changing there is the position of Paul Simmons, who is passed by Kieran Beattie, who is on a little bit of a mission here in the Park Lane Cars machine. But it's Andy Bird out front, Luke Simmons second, third place Mark Beattie, and then it is Marcus Pett, followed by Will Gibson. Gibson's come through very well indeed. Ollie Schlupp chasing Will. Ollie Schlupp is marking himself out with the likes of Ben Higgins, Luke Simmons as a future champion, to my mind, in Legends Cars racing. Will Gibson, if he doesn't win this year, I'm sure will have another crack at the title as he goes down through on the inside, passes Mark Beattie. Bird again understeering, super car control from Andy Bird as he recovers from that, still in the lead, hardly loses any ground at all. Of course, the others are fighting the conditions exactly the same as Andy is, and in fact Andy pulling a bit of a lead now over Luke Simmons in second place, so this is all good for Andy Bird out front at the moment. Luke Simmons in P2 will keep his rookie championship battle on track. Jack Parker running wide, and we want to tell you in the wet there's more grip on the outside. 3 wide as they go into paddock. Kieran Beattie passes brother Mark, who's in the green car, in Nick Bridgman in blue, goes around the outside. Lovely move from the pair of those, and Mark Beattie must have wondered what was happening there with 2 cars going past him. Might be a third, because Jack Parker challenging as well, as Will Gibson looks for second position now, chasing the blue and the black and green car of Luke Simmons. who's acquitting himself very, very well here at the moment. Ollie Schlupp now side by side with Kieran Beattie. Schlupp having a look, so blue and orange challenging orange. Wide line there for Kieran Beattie. Here comes Andy Bird again. Almost a characteristic pose there. Understeers on the way in, a little bit of opposite lock on the way out. But still leading the race, which he's done very well in these early stages, Andy Bird. Battle on for second, and there he is, the magic of the livery change for 2-metre. James Newbury's team have done it. We saw them changing the livery of the car, and that's the younger 2-metre. Absolutely wonderful thing to see from that team. Please give me your support for their fundraising as Will Gibson goes through on the inside, takes second position from Luke Simmons. Simmons down to third. Here is the view. Now will Simmons be able to fight back? He's got his mirrors full of Marcus Pett now. So Marcus Pett busy challenging. Andy Bird still in front. And look at this coming through and ahead. On the outside there, it is Kieran Beattie who goes wide at Druidge, but he's got the outside line there, converts to the inside as they go down to Graham Hill. Not quite enough momentum. Ollie Schlupp coming back at him as well. Fantastic racing. There's Ben Higgins in the 20. Rookie Championship leader Glenn Burtonshaw chasing him. Ben Higgins is the Rookie Championship leader. Glenn Burtonshaw in the ex-Gerald McCosh car, was 69, now 72, as we mentioned in race number 1. And Glenn not wanting to interfere with anyone's race here. That's not the original Napoleon on the back, that's Glenn's copy Napoleon, but wonderful to see that car on track. It was, I think, at November Legends Cars Weekend when I first met Gerard years and years ago when Legends were in their early days. And we really do miss Gerard, and if you watched the start of the programme, you'll have seen the cutaway shot that we had of the back of Glenn's car with the picture of Gerard on, fondly remembered as Will Gibson now goes through and takes the lead from Andy Bird at Paddock Hill Bend. Good, clean, fair racing from the pair of them. And it's Gibson that leads, Andy Bird second. Bird's going to have a look back on the inside to see if he can get the lead back. It's Marcus Pett in third place. Ollie Schlupp trying to get down that 85-point Rookie Championship lead that Ben Higgins has at the moment. And Schlupp is well placed to close in here on that lead. But he's got work to do because Kieran Beattie is fighting him all the way. Kieran Beattie, as you'd expect, he's not going to give up a place. So Beattie fourth at the moment. Ollie Schlupp will have another go. He's not going to be content to sit back and get those points. Andy again struggling as they go through Surtees. Is he going to lose third place as well? Kieran Beattie's got the run on the outside. Here comes Ollie Schlupp as well, and Andy again, the understeer coming into play. Tap on the side of Ollie Schlupp's car. Is that going to dishevel Ollie? Luke Takushis with Paul Simmons and a recovering Steve Whiteleg trying to come through. Whiteleg gets tagged by Rob Fountain just in front of Ben Higgins. Oh, it all goes off. That Steve Whiteleg was recovering well. He's got well inside the top 20, heading up towards the top 10. But that's going to put him back down the order again as they go across the line. Will Gibson, well, 2 heat wins. If that's how it stays, it's going to be right at the back of the grid for the final race of the day. But the points lead will come down to around about 150 points. With 4 races in the championship to go, 1 more in this programme. There is Rob Fountain. Blue flags being shown to some of the guest drivers. I think Alistair Calderwood there, come down from Scotland to have a blast round this weekend. Huge entry of Legends cars this weekend. Lenny Woodcock passed by Daniel Pooley. Daniel having a good run here. He's in 15th position at the moment, and that's with a couple of guests in front of him, so he'll score well. Could be Daniel's best score of the season. As across the line to take the checker flag, Will Gibson from Marcus Pett. Kieran Beattie in third place from Andy Bird in fourth. Ollie Schlupp in fifth. Will close the Rookie Championship up as we head into the last race of the weekend. Ryan McLeish comes through in sixth position from Jack Parker and Nick Bridgman. What a race that was. Very, very tricky conditions for the Legends cars, and 1 more race to go in the penultimate day's racing of the season. No question, Will Gibson is the man on a mission today. Again, doing everything he can to close up. Gibson from Pett and Kieran Beattie. Andy Bird next up from Ollie Schlupp and Ryan McLeish. Jack Parker and Nick Bridgman next from Luke Simmons. Mark Beattie 10th from Rob Fountain. Luke Takushis in 12th from Paul Simmons and Ben Higgins. Daniel Pooley 15th. Then Matthew Knight, Steve Whiteleg, Ricky Leggett, Glenn Burtonshaw and Florian Robin 20th. 21st, Charlie Budd from Mike Schlupp and John T. Norman. Bill Reid ahead of James Newbury that time from Lenny Woodcock, Alistair Calderwood and Chris Needham in 28th. Fastest lap to McLeish, and the championship runner's fastest lap, Will Gibson.
Well, 2 out of 2. Fantastic race win there. Now that's put the cat amongst the pigeons with the championship points, especially on the green flag lap there where you, for some reason, lost the number 1 vehicle as well. So that's a pretty good start to the weekend.
This is, you can make plans before you come into race weekends, and it's very rare it ever actually happens. But yeah, this is at the moment it's going spot on. 2 wins, Miles with a DNF. I wouldn't want to wish anyone to have bad luck, but we've had our fair share of bad luck this year, and yeah, to get 2 wins in the wet is brilliant.
I'm not sure what is up with Miles' car. Hopefully he'll be back in for race 3. We've got a lot of calculations to do, but there's still quite a lot of races to go. It's going to go down to the wire, isn't it?
It's Legends, anything can happen. It's coming into this weekend, we just wanted to try and get it to the last race and just see if we could be within a shout at the last race, because you just never know. But yeah, at the moment it's working well. It's been so much hard work from all the team, Den, Scott, Nick, the old man, my wife Janine. We put so much effort into this, and it's paying off.
Marcus, we keep meeting at various events with these podium successes, but that was a well-earned one.
Yeah, I think so. It's a tricky race out there with limited visibility, especially on the opening lap or 2. So we had a good start to the race and made our way through, and got on the back of Will and pulled towards the front. So that was good.
Now, Kieran, that went rather well after our little chat earlier in the day. That was a cracking race.
Yeah, it was. Started off the back. I thought, right, well, we'll have a little bit of it, play with the tyre pressure, see if I get a little bit more grip out of it. Last minute decision, it seemed to do the job. I don't think I'm going to touch the car again before I go out for the next race. I think I'm just leaving it as it is this time.
I even witnessed that lovely overtake of Mark on that first corner there in one of those laps.
Yeah, bit of a squeaky bum moment there. It always is when we come together on the track or when we're anywhere near each other. It's always a little bit odd, but I saw it. I saw him go a little bit wide. I thought, right, well, I'll go up the inside, get past him that way, and luckily it stuck. So absolutely brilliant.
Ollie, been a great season overall. Now, final weekend of the season, a really wet one. You seem to be excelling. 5th seems to be your lucky number at the moment with 2 races in that position.
Yeah, first ever race weekend in the wet, and I'm really loving it. It's just a lot of fun, and good racing with a lot of the drivers, and really happy.
Vision must be a bit of a problem. Cars without windscreens, windscreen wipers and so forth. Surely at that sort of level you're getting covered in it.
Yeah, well, you sort of driving one-handed a bit like that, because it's just, you can't really see a thing, but we got the rain lights on that help a little bit, but visibility's horrible, really.
And how's the season, has it played out as you'd liked?
Well, I mean, it was a really good start to the season, but then I sort of slowed down a bit, so knock out all those imperfections, and hopefully come back even stronger next season.
Miles, bit of a mixed day of fortunes. Race 1 was a good one, a little bit of a moment here and there, but a good solid 3rd, a podium place. We started the penultimate event leading the championship, still doing that, but race 2, what happened?
I just had an electrical problem, it was just one of those misfortunes really, but things like that just happen, and we've managed to fix the problem now. We're just going to see what we can do in race 3 really, so like I say, these things happen sometimes, and there's just nothing you can do about it. So
puts the pressure on, but you can deal with that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think I work better under pressure, if I'm honest with you. So obviously it makes it more interesting as well for the spectators. So hopefully we can keep the form going, but we'll see what we can do.
Change of livery again, back to the original for James Newbury. The magic happens again down in the number 2 garage. 2 mates are back with the original livery. Out front though, we've got Lenny Woodcock on pole, John T. Norman alongside Bill Reid and Florian Robin row 2, Ricky Leggett and Charlie Budd on row 3, Mike Schlupp and Chris Needham are on the 4th row. Still wet and slippery out there at Brands Hatch for our 3rd and final race of the penultimate day's racing of the season. Jonty Norman looking to try and get the edge on Lenny Woodcock as they go across the line. They're going to be side by side as they head down into Paddock Hill Bend. Norman is on the outside trying to get the best run. He's got his nose in front, on board with Ben Higgins. Look, they're all bunching up. Oh, a couple of cars getting sideways there. And a tag on the back of the blue and yellow Savannah of Nathan Anthony. Out goes Daniel Pooley in black and green. Chris Needham's out. We've got Nick Bridgman, I think, was going through the gravel as well. Charlie Budd down in 3rd place. Up into 2nd goes Jonty Norman. Budd challenging for 2nd here. Gets a good run, a much better run than Jonty Norman out of Druids down into Graham Hill Bend. So it's Budd in 2nd place. Jonty Norman in 3rd. That's going to necessitate a safety car. Now, Miles Rudman started from pole. That's the reason for the safety car. 2 cars, one very badly broken. Poor old Daniel Pooley's had some rotten luck over the course of the season and finds himself after, I think, starting on row 5 in the mix. Chris Needham not happy. That was first corner bunching for sure. Maybe there was possibly a bit of contact on the back end of Chris Needham's car. Can't see from this one. Nick Bridgman having to take avoiding action through the gravel. And probably will count himself lucky, but it's very tricky out there, particularly with all the spray that's being thrown up. And this helps illustrate the point. Look at this from Will Gibson, who has had rotten luck at the start of the year, might count himself fortunate here to come through that. He might have been involved. Another driver who was fortunate, dare I say it, is Miles Rudman, who started from pit lane. I reckon if he'd started in his point scoring position, as Dan Pooley's car gets towed away, if he'd have started from his point scoring position, he'd have been in the middle of that lot. As it is, he started from pit lane and now gets the safety car to be up with the field on the restart. So safety car coming in, and we get the chance to go racing again with Ricky Leggett out front and a whole host of drivers who haven't won races at the front of the field at the moment and will be eager to take their first race win. Used to be not a tradition back in the day, but very often at the end of the season, particularly when Legends had a winter championship, see a first-time winner at the end of the year. And are we going to see that? Because Charlie Budd's having a look at Ricky Leggett for the lead, goes on the inside in white, Leggett in blue, and White though maintains that on the outside line, all safely done off the front. So it's Leggett from Budd, then Norman, Lenny Woodcock in 4th place, followed by Mike Schlupp, then Paul Simmons. The Bridgman Motorsport 66 car of Steve Whiteleg, Mark Beattie, then Florian Robin being passed now by Ryan McLeish in the white 71. Andy Bird following him as well. McLeish, a non-point scorer, a guest driver this weekend. So down and along Cooper Straight they go, mindful of track limits here. You don't want to go off on the grass anyway with it being so wet. Look at this, 3 wide going along Cooper Straight. Ben Higgins trying to... Oh dear, Jonty Norman goes on the grass, so runs out a road on the way into Surtees. Should have a safe rejoin though, because he's managed to get the car under control. He's going to stick to the grass on the inside and I think wait for everybody to go round. Takes the inside line as we join Ollie Schlupp. There is Glenn Burtonshaw powering his way through on the outside run with a little bit of bump drafting. Is that Miles Rudman that he's bump drafting with? Glenn Burtonshaw, let's have a look. I think it is. There is Rudman in black ahead of Will Gibson. Gibson challenging Ollie Schlupp, then it's Rudman round the outside. Rudman's opportunity to get some points back here on Will Gibson. He will need to finish ahead of Will Gibson in as many of the races as he can now, because with that, was it a non-start or a non-finish? Or well, it was both actually, wasn't it? Did he get 5 points for going onto the track? I think he probably did in the original. That could come into play at the end of day 2 here at Brands Hatch, but we'll make more of that anon. Will Gibson will, I think, be ruining that safety car for sure, but pleased that he managed to come through unscathed. On the other hand, challenges Matthew Knight in the treble 2. Gibson through on the inside. Miles Rudman still ahead of him. There is Knight, the guest driver. Ollie Schlupp's going to nip up the inside as well. Schlupp now within 5 points by my maths of Ben Higgins in the rookie championship. That is definitely going to go to tomorrow, the final day of the season for what has been one of the most enthralling rookie championships for many seasons in the National Legends Cars Championship. Gibson powers his way past Matthew Knight, so too does Ollie Schlupp, who's off on the dirt again. Schlupp, look how much momentum he's lost. Kieran Beattie goes through. Mark Beattie coming under pressure from Miles Rudman, John Critchlow in the all-black car on the inside. The 86, the number 1 though, goes from the outside, switched back on the inside. Rudman is on a little bit of a mission here to get as many points as he can. He does that in every race, to be absolutely honest, but he will be ever more determined after that electrical issue before the start of race 2. Still Ricky Leggett out front. Ricky driving a good race, and this is what we love about the Legends cars, including our onboards. And look at that, there goes Miles Rudman through again neatly and making up a position. Outright championship leader passes rookie championship leader from that onboard. I was going back to say what we like about Legends cars racing in race 3 of any meeting. You can call it a final, but it's not the final, it's the final race of the day, where the lower scoring drivers start off the front, and you get another non-finish. Alistair Calderwood will join Daniel Pooley and Chris Needham off the track. Luke Takushis is off as well, very sadly, as Ricky Leggett is past now. Steve Whiteleg through on the inside. Steve Whiteleg takes the lead, and Ricky Leggett down to second position now, coming under pressure from Ryan McLeish. McLeish looks up on the inside run. Visibility getting difficult, as you can see from the camera, but Steve Whiteleg is the race leader now as they come through McLaren. Sideways moment there for Charlie Budd, but it's Steve Whiteleg, the race leader here at Brands Hatch. Goes wide. Luke Takushis' machine is stuck there. Now this is the second set of problems we've had in this race. Here comes Steve Whiteleg though, down and across the line from Ryan McLeish. Ricky Leggett is in third. He was leading on the previous lap, finds himself down in third place, fighting for a podium. Across the line they go. Jack Parker is in fourth. Heavily waved yellows and yellow LEDs, which you can see. Here's 2 Mater coming up towards us as well with James Newbury, and it's a red flag and a checker. Now it's going to be a check by my reckoning. If we won't have time to restart because they've completed 9 laps, by my reckoning Ricky Leggett was leading on the lap before, which is the way the rules go. So Ricky Leggett takes her first win in Legends cars from Steve Whiteleg, with Ryan McLeish, the guest driver, in third. Championship third is going to be Charlie Budd, so I think a first championship podium for Charlie Budd. Jack Parker in fifth position, then Paul Simmons and Marcus Pett. Andy Bird 8th from Miles Rudman, who gets into 9th from Ben Higgins in 10th place. Ben extending the lead in the rookies again. John Critchlow next up from Mark Beattie and Rob Fountain. Matthew Knight 14th from Kieran Beattie and Will Gibson. Ollie Schlupp 17th from Glenn Burtonshaw, Nick Bridgman and Luke Simmons. Then it was Nathan Anthony and Florian Robin. Jonty Norman, Lenny Woodcock, Bill Reid and James Newbury complete the finishers. The fastest lap of the race going to Miles Rudman, with his car well and truly sorted out.
Ricky, congratulations. I think that's your first win, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, officially, yeah. No, it's great. I couldn't believe it. We got the start, managed to get through 5 on the start, get into the lead. And I was pulling a gap on Charlie Budd, and I was waiting for the others to get past him. And then I saw Steve Whiteleg, and I thought, here we go. Just try my best, try to push a bit harder, but the car wouldn't give any more. Getting a bit loose, trying a bit harder. But on the count back, I got the win, so. Yeah, great.
We meet yet again, a great second place there. Now, I was watching you on the restart and you had a good start.
Yeah, I had a very good start after the safety car, and managed to get past quite a few cars on that lap. Eventually caught up to Ricky. I did manage to pass him, but unfortunately because of the count back, although I crossed the line first, counted back to second, but I'm happy with that. I mean, just staying on the track and actually finishing was a feat in itself.
Will Gibson wins the day here at Brands Hatch from Jack Parker, with Marcus Pett in third. Steve Whiteleg 4th from Kieran Beattie and Ollie Schlupp. The outright championship, though, just 145 points as we head into day 2 at Brands Hatch, the final day of the season. It is nail-biting. In the rookies, just 55 points separating Ben Higgins and Ollie Schlupp. It's all to play for in our final programme. Make sure you join us from here at Brands Hatch next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.